Hey dude, you know what's crazy? You've been moving through storms quietly. Wow, acting like your strength is just an accident waiting to happen, right? But listen, your presence hits harder than most people admit. Boom. And deep down, you feel that pressure tightening your focus. Dang. This video isn't background noise. It's your turning point. Trust me. Every second is built to challenge you, sharpen you, energize you, yes. So don't skip. Don't disappear like they expect. Why now? Stay till the end and watch your mindset flip on its axis, wild. And before we go further, respect to you for being here. Salute. Most people never show up for themselves, but you did today. Fire. Drop a comment after watching. Tell me what hit hardest. Deal? Your voice matters here more than you realize. And it shows. Amazing. I speak softly at first. That's how the mind opens, not with noise, but with that quiet tap on the door of your thoughts, inviting you in. You don't notice the shift until it's already happening. Until something stirs beneath the surface, until the whisper becomes the spark, and suddenly you feel me sitting beside your doubts, asking questions no one else dares to ask. You've spent years pretending the fire inside you was nothing more than a flicker, a tiny pulse you could control. But I see the truth hiding under your calm exterior. I see the tension you carry like a second skin. And trust me, tension always has a reason. Pressure always has a story. And stories like yours don't stay silent forever. You think storms roar from the start, but no, they begin the way you began. Slowly, quietly, unnoticed by those who never paid attention. I've watched you swallow frustration until your chest felt tight. I've watched you nod while others overlooked you. And through it all, that whisper inside you grew sharper, colder, demanding to be heard in your own voice. Let me tell you something that should shake you awake. You weren't meant to be harmless. You weren't meant to shrink, to fold yourself neatly into boxes built by small thinkers. Your whisper has weight. Your thoughts carry impact, and the reason you feel restless is because the world tried to silence a mind that was never built for quiet obedience. People look at you and see calm, but I see the layers behind your eyes, the calculations, the hidden grit, the subtle defiance that never fully dies, even when you pretend you've moved on. I hear every unspoken sentence you never allowed yourself to say. Every moment you swallowed the truth instead of letting it sharpen your presence. So lean closer. Listen carefully, because this is where your shift begins. Not with chaos, not with noise, but with the decision to acknowledge the whisper that's been calling your name. The one that insists you're more than your reflection. The one that refuses to let you settle. The one that knows your strength isn't loud, it's precise. And precision is far more terrifying. You're here because part of you is tired of waiting, tired of being polite with your own potential, tired of pretending you don't feel that internal pressure rising in quiet waves. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to expose you. To remind you that storms don't ask permission to form. They gather force from every silent moment you ignored. And now those moments want their return. You're standing on the edge of something you can't quite name, but you can feel it shifting behind your ribs. That's the whisper. That's the storm. And it's yours. Now tell me, are you ready to hear it speak? You walk with a calm face, but your shoulders tell a different story. They've learned to hold what no one sees. The pressure, the expectations, the quiet disappointments that pile up like iron plates. And still, you move. Not because it's easy, but because you refuse to collapse where others would have already crumbled. That's the part people never understand. You don't survive by chance, you survive by grit. Every burden you've carried has left its mark. A little strain in the spine, a little edge in the voice, a little shadow behind the eyes. And while others complain over the smallest strain, you've mastered the art of lifting memories that feel heavier than metal. The kind of memories that linger. The kind that follow you into the late hours when everything goes quiet. Yet somehow you rise with them instead of sinking beneath them. There are nights you replay old failures until your breathing changes. Old words, old moments, old versions of yourself you wish you could drag into the light and reshape. You've carried those too, and whether you admit it or not, they've sharpened you in ways no comfort ever could. Strength doesn't grow in ease. It grows in the moments you thought you were done, but kept moving anyway. People underestimate what hasn't broken you. They see the surface and assume it's light. They have no idea how many times you stood alone in the silence, forcing your mind to hold steady when everything felt like it was shifting under your feet. They don't know how many choices you made without applause, how many responsibilities you accepted because there was no one else who would step up. The weight shaped you, quietly, relentlessly. There were days your thoughts felt too heavy to carry. Days when your chest felt tight from everything you refused to say. But you learned to turn silence into structure. You learned to tighten your grip instead of letting the world loosen it for you. And every time you forced yourself forward, you forged another piece of that steel inside your spirit. That's why you stand taller now. That's why pressure hits you differently. Let me tell you something most won't dare admit. Strength isn't the absence of struggle. It's the decision to rise despite it. And you've done that again and again, even when exhaustion claws at the edges. You've carried expectations others would run from. You've held yourself together when it felt like everything wanted to pull you apart. And you kept that weight balanced with nothing but sheer will. The world rarely thanks people like you. It rarely notices the ones who carry the most. But I see it. The endurance, the restraint, the silent victories no one claps for. You didn't break because you were meant for more than collapse. Your weight was never a punishment. It was preparation. And now you stand with a strength built from pressure that would have shattered the average mind. Let that truth settle, because it's yours. Most people love the sound of their own certainty. They speak as if their words can bend reality, as if volume equals strength. But you operate differently. You don't brag about your struggles or advertise your effort. You hold your cards close. You let your silence shape the room. And while they talk circles around their own excuses, you stay focused on the one thing that actually matters: progress. You've seen these talkers. Loud confidence, masking thin resolve. They speak of plans they never start, goals they never chase, heights they never touch. They admire discipline but rarely practice it. They love the idea of achievement without the weight of commitment, and every time they deliver another empty promise, you feel something inside you, sharpen in contrast. Because you don't talk to be heard, you act to be changed. Endurance isn't glamorous. It doesn't sparkle in conversation. It doesn't earn instant praise from those who only value what can be seen. Endurance is built in the quiet grind, the unseen hours, the decisions made when fatigue presses down like an iron hand. Most people let that pressure fold them. You let it refine you. That's the difference. That's why your silence carries more force than their long speeches. There's a certain power in not needing to announce your strength, a certain edge in letting others underestimate you. They mistake your calm for caution, your quiet for hesitation. They don't realize that true endurance grows in minimal noise. They talk because they fear stillness. You endure because you mastered it. You learn to sit with the pressure without reaching for distraction. That's rare, and they know it. Every challenge you've faced has taught you the same ruthless lesson. Words don't lift weight. Words don't solve problems. Words don't create change unless they're backed by action. And you've grown tired of those who claim ambition but collapse the moment resistance shows itself. You kept moving when they stopped. You held your ground when they wavered. You advanced while they stayed behind. That's why your path looks different now. Let me tell you what they won't. Endurance is not just survival. It's a form of intelligence. It's the ability to read pressure without panicking, to understand the long game, to push through discomfort without expecting applause. People talk because they want recognition. You endure because you want results. And results are loyal to those who commit, not those who perform. That's why you rise slowly, but rise solid. Remember this. In a world filled with noise, endurance is the rarest form of clarity. And you carry it like a hidden blade, unseen until necessary. You don't need to convince anyone of your strength. You don't need to match their noise. Your resilience speaks in actions that echo longer than any promise they can make. Let them talk. Let them fill the air with empty courage. You don't need their volume. You have something stronger. You have proof. The mirror doesn't lie. It reflects everything you've tried to outrun. Every hesitation, every unspoken truth, every version of yourself you pretend you outgrew but still echo in your thoughts. You look at it and see surface calm, but beneath that calm is the story you haven't finished reading. The mirror remembers even when you try to forget, and it waits, patient, relentless. There are things you've avoided, parts of yourself you kept buried under routine, old regrets you filed away like forgotten documents. You think they disappear with time, but time only freezes them in place. The mirror collects them, stores them, holds them like quiet evidence. And every time you pass by your reflection, you feel a slight shift inside, as if something familiar is calling your name from behind the glass. You try to fix the exterior, adjust the posture, straighten the face, act like control is simple. But the mirror knows your truths better than your words ever will. It remembers the promises you delayed, the ambition you softened, the fire you dimmed to keep others comfortable. You may look like you're composed, but the mirror sees the strain in your eyes. It sees the depth behind the calm. There's a moment, right before you look away, when you feel the weight of what's unfinished. The goals you paused, the courage you postponed, the identity you put on hold to fit where you didn't belong. You think the world forgot. You think you forgot, but the mirror didn't. It holds the blueprint of who you were meant to be, not the revised version, the real one, the one you've been avoiding. And here's the part most never face. When you avoid yourself, you divide yourself. You split your potential into maybe later and not yet. You weaken your ambition by refusing to confront the reflection that demands honesty. The mirror isn't there to judge you. It's there to expose you, to show you the cracks you've memorized so well you no longer notice them, to remind you that growth begins with recognition, not escape. So look again, not at the face, at the truth behind it, at the strength you forgot you had, at the courage you pretended was gone, at the spark you buried under responsibility and silence. The mirror sees it. It remembers every version of you, flawed, rising, stubborn, unbroken, and it waits for the moment you stop running from yourself. Because deep down, you know the reflection isn't your enemy. It's your reminder, your witness, your challenge. And it's time you finally faced it. You hesitate at the threshold. You pretend those corners of your life don't exist. The ones filled with unfinished tasks, unspoken truths, and choices you swore you'd deal with later. But power never hides in comfort. It waits in the rooms you avoid. The ones that make your pulse tighten. The ones that whisper your name when the world goes quiet. That's where your strength has been living, untouched, waiting. You tell yourself you're not ready. You convince yourself timing matters more than courage. But deep inside, you know the truth. Avoidance is a slow thief. It steals your potential without making a sound. It gathers dust around your ambitions. It turns tomorrow into a habit. And every time you walk away from a hard task, you leave a piece of strength behind. Small at first, then noticeable, then heavy. You've avoided certain decisions because you believe they'll expose you. But exposure is exactly what sparks growth. You can't sharpen a blade by leaving it unused. You need friction, pressure, heat. The things you avoid carry the lessons you pretend you don't need. They hold your next level inside them, like locked doors. And you've been standing outside those doors far too long, telling yourself the lock is too difficult. Look closer. The fear you feel around certain tasks isn't a warning, it's a signal. It means that task carries weight, that it matters, that it has the power to alter you. The discomfort you run from is the very fuel that strengthens your foundation. Avoidance doesn't protect you, it limits you. Every time you step back, you teach yourself to shrink. And shrinking becomes a silent habit if you don't confront it. You know exactly which parts of your life you've been dodging. The conversation you keep delaying. The change you resist. The discipline you postpone. The dream you pretend doesn't hurt to ignore. You've built walls around these things thinking they'll disappear if you don't look at them. But walls don't erase problems. They only hide them until the weight becomes too much. And you're stronger than that. You've proven it already. So open that door. Face that task. Step into the places that make your chest tighten. Because that pressure you feel isn't danger. It's transformation. It's the signal that you've found the exact point where growth is waiting. Every avoided challenge is an unfinished chapter of your evolution. Something sharper, something steadier, something that was always yours. The strength you've been searching for has been waiting behind the doors you never opened. Now it's time. You made it. You stayed till the end. Yes, that alone shows your fire, your focus, your hunger. Wow, most people quit halfway. But you're different, strong. You faced the challenge, absorbed every word, felt every hit, real. Now take that energy and do something with it. Go. Let it fuel your next move, your next decision, your next victory. Boom. And remember, the people who doubted you are watching you rise, insane.